to Do Network. I'm Dr. L. So you know here at the Do Network we are all about doing. Whether it's something new, something old, we're relearning something, a new skill or activity. Today what we're going to do is get into the kitchen and bake. Because why? Well, I love desserts. So what we will do today is bake cupcakes. It's cupcake day! And with a twist, we're going to also make our own frosting. So both our cupcakes and frosting will be made from scratch. How do you like that? So let's get into the kitchen and I will show you just how we'll begin. The first order of business, anytime you are preparing a meal, whether for yourself or your guests, is to clean your hands. With soap, of course. So let me just start by doing that first. You always also want to keep napkins very close by. If you're like me, whether it's a little OCD or a little germophobic, I wash my hands before, during, and after preparing a meal. If you are not that way, it doesn't matter, but you at least want to do it before and after. Either way, clean hands make for a clean meal, and it's also more enjoyable that way too. So, let's get started. This is our cupcake pan. I will just use this one. I think the cupcake batter that is, would be enough to hold in this 12 cupcake space pan. If you want to make yours into a cake, you can certainly do that as well, but I'm going to use the cupcake pan. So let's start over here. We're going to make our batter. But one thing you probably want to consider first is to preheat your oven at least to about 350 degrees, which I have already done over here. So it's just waiting for us to pop those cupcakes inside. So because we are making this from scratch, this is not a box cake or a box cupcake. You want to get some cake flour, however. I'm going to use about half of the bag. You can find this at any of your grocers. Pour some of that inside. Again, I'm just going to use half of it. But you can use just as much or as little as you would like to use. If you happen to need a little more to fill it out or to fluff it up, you can certainly do that as well. And you'll be able to tell once you start to get towards the end of the batter. There aren't a lot of instructions. For example, cup of this, cup of that. I will give you some of those instructions, but a lot of this will be to cook to desire, your desire that is, and that's how I learned to cook. So use as much or as little of the ingredients as you like to use. So I have about 3 or 4 different sugars here because it's a cupcake and I love sweets. So pour in some of your regular white sugar. I'm going to use about 2 cups of this. And I can tell just how much 2 cups will be. But if that's not enough, I will come back and add a little more in. Into your mixing bowl here. When you've had enough, just close it and set it to the side. I also have some of the organic sugar as well that we're going to use. And I want about 3 cups of this, again, because I want a sweet cupcake. Okay, that is about 3 cups right there. When you're cooking, you can start to estimate or guesstimate how much of the ingredients you like or want. Now, remember, you can always swap out certain ingredients. So for example, I'm going to use the good old butter, but you can use olive oil or what I like, coconut oil. It's odorless and flavorless. We're going to use the butter though. Some people use about a stick of the margarine or butter. Some use half of it. Because I don't have a stick of it, it's in a tub, I am going to use about 1/3 of it, just like this. Put that into your mixture as well. Take off any of the excess. butter. You can see it right in there. Okay. Next, let's add some flavor. I personally enjoy the vanilla flavor, but you can use others such as almond, for example, or any other. We're going to, there's not a whole lot in here. This is a 1 ounce, but it's maybe a fourth left, so just pour all of that in there. Now I'm certain I'm going to need more flavor, which is why I have more flavor. It's still vanilla extract, but it's in a larger bottle. So I want to get at least 2 ounces of that. And that flavor is just going to enhance the sweetness of your cupcakes. Set that to the side when you're ready. Now for the powdered sugar. Just use a little bit of this. This is really mostly going to be for the frosting that we make a little later. So you only want to cut it open and just dump a little bit in there. You already have the flour of the cake flour to make it thick, so you don't need too much more powder. Okay, and just save that. But you do want some baking powder. Again, not too much though. And if you're thinking, oh, that's a lot of powder, no, it's actually going to blend very well. I'll show you. And once it's all ready, you are going to want more. So, use some eggs. Now, whether you get the organic eggs like I do or regular non-organic eggs, it again depends on your desire. I'm going to use 2 whole caged eggs, crack them on the side of my mixing bowl here, dump them in, both of them, one after the other, just like that. Voila! If you can see inside of the mixing bowl, you'll see how all of the colors and flavors are mixing together. I want to show you right inside. And this is why I say to keep napkins available to clean your hands off. Next, pour in some milk. I use silk almond milk, but you can use reduced fat milk, whole milk, whatever you like. Again, it depends on the flavor that you want to achieve. So you can pour in about a cup of milk, and I also use evaporated milk as well. And evaporated milk is really just where half of the water is removed from the milk. It's still fresh and nutritious. These come in a can right at your grocer. You don't need the whole can unless you're making mini cakes or cupcakes. I used about 1/3 of it. So you can either use your whisk to mix it all together. I want to show you inside the bowl to blend it, or you can take a spoon here and you just want to whisk it together. Now you see the blender right here. I'm going to use that because it's going to make the process speed up. So let's switch out from the whisk to our blender here. Make sure that you plug it in order for it to operate, and then you can select the speed that you want. So we'll go at 1. So while we're blending, you might want to cover up that fab ensemble of yours and add to it by wearing an apron. Now I got this apron while I was in South Africa. Again, you know my love for travel, but you want to cover up your clothing, still look fab doing your baking or your cooking in the kitchen, and blend it. So now that we have blended this fine mixture of cupcake batter, you want to taste it. This takes me back to being a little girl in my grandmother's kitchen with her when she would cook, or really when she was baking her cakes. She would let me take the cake bowl or the blender and have it all to myself. So you sure you taste your batter. That's delicious. If it's not what you want, just add more ingredients to it. If it's too watery, add another egg to fluff it out a little more, okay? If it's too thick, maybe add some liquid such as a little water or a little oil. Once you're ready, take your bowl and start to put it into your cupcake holder. Now I've sprayed it already with some cooking spray, non-stick cooking spray. Although we'll be using the cupcake holders inside of the cupcake pan, you still want to spray the pan before putting in the cupcake holders. And you can find these little cupcake holders really in the baking aisle at any of your grocers. Spraying with the non-stick spray helps to keep any of the excess mixture that may get onto the edges of your pan. That way it won't stick, so that when it's time for you to clean, it won't be too tough to clean it off. So you just put in the cupcake holders, just like this, really quick and easy. And once you're ready, you can fill them